Hi, Sean.
Hi.
Yeah, let me pull up the chat here. Wow. I've got to tell you, this is the most people that have been in the chat at the beginning of a live stream for me. It's incredible.
Uh,
So, what I want to do, I'm going to go and highlight these comments real quick, and
sure.
then we'll get into your story because it is absolutely packed full of info. Evelyn says, Hi, Lynn. Hi, Cindy, Sean, Michelle, and everyone. Michelle's not going to join us, but I luckily did get to meet her backstage. Looking forward to this, the whole story. Yes. And you, Matt Franklin. Hello, Cindy, Sean, Michelle, and everybody watching tonight. Darth Carnivore. That's Charlie. This is Karen. Hi, Cindy, and everyone. You'll get to meet her and her sister at KPL.
Awesome.
Her sister, Teresa. Therese.
Yeah.
And Matt saying hello. This is Andy. Hi, guys. I'll be listening and walking. It's been a rough week. I am sorry. I hope
Sorry
it
to hear
gets
that, Andy.
better. This is my sister. Hi, folks. On my way home. Drive safe, Debbie.
Right.
Jeff Foltz. Hello to the people eating the proper human diet. Yep. And everybody else. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Keto Carnivore cured my. I didn't even go try it. You got that one, Sean.
Yeah.
Triskaidekaphobia. I don't know. That's the best I could do. Andy. Oh, my word. Matt Franklin. Can't wait to meet you too when you come down to Disney. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Charlie, my husband loves Disney.
Come on down in January when we go.
Oh, I don't care for it. I've been there once, long time ago. It rained every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I was 16 then. That was 50 years ago. Impressive before and after pictures, Sean and Michelle. Yes,
Thank
they
you.
were. Brenda Foley, hello, hello. Sherry Lynn, hey everyone.
Yeah.
Dustin's here already. Wow. Good distraction from my anxiety tonight. I hope everything's okay, honey. Brenda Foley. It's the fear of the number 13. I love Disney, says, I know you do. I
Right.
know it. I might lose you on my walk, but I'll catch up. All righty.
All
Yeah,
right.
because you don't want to miss this. Don't be a stick in the mud. All righty. Sean, it's all you. I'm going to sit back
Okay.
and just, you
Uh,
have at it.
where to begin? Well, um, so I'm Sean. I grew up in the Maryland suburbs of DC area. Uh, Irish Catholic. My mom was actually born in Dublin, Ireland, and still have family over there, and so on. I met my wife, Shell, when I was 17, and we were, well, 16 really. We were on the same bowling team together, and she was the only one that actually laughed at all my stupid jokes. So, yeah, yeah, it was. Uh, so, another little funny fact is we were actually born 2 days apart in the same hospital. So
Nice.
we we were actually sleeping in the same room together before we even knew what it meant. So,
That's good. That wasn't in your story here.
no, yeah, I, I was leaving that for this. So, but anyway, um, I I grew up, like I said, Irish. My my mom, we all loved potatoes. It was potatoes with every meal. We basically, you know, cabbage, corned beef, uh, pretty much. I don't eat corned beef to this day because I ate so much of it when I was a kid.
Oof.
I just, I can't. I don't even like the look of it. So, although they're supposed to make the best briskets. So, but anyway, um, well, um, we were 19 years old, and I proposed to Shell, and we were in love and everything else. And then, you know, next thing you know, she's pregnant, and I have to figure out what am I going to do. So I had when I went to community college, I took the naval nuclear engineering test. Matt will know what that is, and I I did pretty much the best out of everybody that took it that day. And I talked to the oh my friend Brad's here, Radicus. But anyway, I I was sitting there, and the detailer called me up. He told me how good I did, and I pretty much laughed at him because I was in school, college. I was studying to be a electronics engineer, and then I found out Shell's pregnant. So I'm like calling him up and saying, "Hey, that offer's still standing, me going in the Navy?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So takes me to the MEP Center to take the ASVAB, and I did very good in that. And so they offered me electronics school, and next thing you know, I'm in boot camp and having having a good old time in boot camp. I actually had my 20th birthday in boot camp, so I got to sit there and do push-ups while everybody sang happy birthday to me. That was fun.
Did you do them in tune to the song?
Yeah, pretty much. And and of course they sang as slow as they possibly could to drag it out. So,
Of course.
but anyway, then I get the news. We're all standing at attention one day, and I get the news. Congratulations to Kevin Michael Bradley. And I'm like, who's that? We were thinking Shell was going to have a girl, and then she ended up having a boy, Kevin. And so I got to go down, call her up, and she tells me that that something happened with Kevin. He had the two main vessels going into his heart switched, so he wasn't getting enough oxygen from his blood.
Okay,
And
can we back up just a hair?
sure,
You had a niece or nephew.
oh yeah, my niece. So that was the probably one of the roughest parts in my life up until that time. So
Mhm.
I had a nephew. Well, still have. He's still alive, which is kind of crazy. My nephew was born with a very rare disease, and he needed a heart, liver, and lung transplant. And they actually did a liver transplant on him when he was 9 years old.
Wow.
And amazingly, that liver helped heal all of his other organs, so he didn't need the lung or the heart transplant.
That's amazing.
And yeah, his story is incredible.
Mhm.
But yeah, you'll probably never see him on social media. He's a hermit. He likes doing his own thing.
Mhm.
But
But that's incredible. That wasn't in your thing either.
no, my niece, on the other hand, Shell and I, we were actually very close. And to my niece, we babysat her all the time. She was 4 years old, and she had a heart defect, and they were going to do open heart surgery on her to fix her heart. And after about 8 hours, she ended up passing. And my sister and brother-in-law basically were devastated.
Oh,
They couldn't. Yeah.
no doubt. No doubt.
And I was pretty devastated. I was mad at the world. And then I find out that Shell's pregnant, and the only thing I can think of is that she's going to be the replacement for my niece. My niece's name was Jacinta, named after, I don't know if anybody knows that. She was one of the three kids that Holy Mary visited down in Guatemala. So,
Nice.
but anyway, getting back to the other part. uh, so I get the phone call and talk to Shell, and she tells me that Kevin was born with a heart defect, and that you know the two main vessels were switched, and he's going to need open heart surgery at 4 days old. And I my thoughts and my mind were just gone. I was mad at the world. I was like,
Mhm.
and I know I say in my story that I was listening to ACDC's Thunderstruck at the time, and I couldn't think of a better word to, you know, to,
Mhm.
to think about it, because, I'm 20 years old. I just became a dad, and now my son's fighting for his life in the hospital, and there's nothing I can do to help. I'm stuck in an airport, and I can only hope and pray that I get there, to be there for when the surgery happens.
Right.
And if this isn't a true testament to people in the Navy, every single person in my boot camp company chipped in, and they bought my plane ticket home. They paid for the whole thing. I
Wow.
didn't have to spend a dime. They even gave me money for the taxi to take the taxi to the airport.
Mhm.
And I was just overwhelmed with the kindness that they showed. It was incredible. And so anyway, Kevin, he's 33 now, so he's still doing good. We're hoping to get him on keto because he's extremely overweight. But
Wow.
anyway, uh, all of that stuff basically led to being addicted to eating to help relieve my stress, and that's pretty much my biggest vice. I would go and I would grab Reese's peanut butter cups, I would grab Doritos, I would grab whatever. And you know, when I was in boot camp, my friend Brad and I, we would always, or not boot camp, in A school, Brad and I would always go to McDonald's, because McDonald's was uh, pretty much like 200 feet away, and the uh, the, the cafeteria was over a mile away. So yeah, we did do Red Lobster a lot too. Uh, but anyway, so you know, Brad and I became pretty much best friends. We, as you can see, still talk to this day.
I was
Hope,
gonna say, obviously you still are, because
yeah,
he showed up.
yeah. He's yep. I'm hoping to get him on keto as well.
There you go, Bradford.
Yeah,
You heard it. You
but
heard it here.
yeah. So anyway, I spent 5.5 years in the Navy, and ended up getting out early. I failed too many PT tests, so I ended up basically getting out, and I started working for a company that installs equipment on board ships. And I was back on the same ship that I just left 2 weeks later. And, you know, so that was kind of funny. And then, I did that for 2 years, and I was like, I'm traveling just as much as when I was in the Navy. I got to stop doing this. So I called up my other brother, uh, Brian. Brian was another shipmate that we basically hit it off. And he told me that his place here in Lynchburg was hiring. And I was like, oh, cool. I'll send my resume. So I sent my resume up. And, within a couple of months, I ended up having an interview. And then I actually accepted the offer. This isn't in the story either, but I accepted the offer on my birthday. They called me up on my birthday and said, "Hey, how would you like a job?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah.
So uh, ended up moving up to Lynchburg, Virginia. And another little side fact: my cousins that are now in Ireland actually moved to Lynchburg in the early '80s before they uh, moved overseas to Ireland. So
Nice.
uh, that was kind of funny. I was like, this place looks familiar. And then I remembered, oh, yeah, my aunt and uncle used to live here and my cousins.
Yep.
So, anyway, um, working in the electronic shop there, I was doing all kinds of manual labor. So, I was still eating like crazy. We would sit there and have eating contests in the shop. And, but because I was so active, I was still not really putting on that much weight. And they, the doctor told me that, I had high blood pressure and I needed to be on blood pressure medicine. I was like 27 years old, 28 years old. And I'm like, really? And then, so they put me on that. And of course, it was a diuretic as well. So I ended up having to go to the bathroom all the time. It basically, take a drink of water and you had to pretty much run to the bathroom. And that was so just, ugh. And, I'm thinking 27 years old, 28 years old, and I'm already on blood pressure medicine. Great. you know. And then not long after that, my cholesterol was, over 200. So they put me on a statin as well. And I'm like, wow, I'm 30, barely 30 years old, and I'm already on blood pressure and statin medications. So I was like, great. And then my wife gets pregnant with our third child, and we're like, okay, well, you know, this happened, so we'll have a third child.
Now, what
Um,
was your second one?
Second one, Austin. So that was another very complicated time because I had just gotten out of the Navy, and Michelle was pregnant, and I talked to the personnel people at the new company that I was working for, and I asked them, I was like, "Do you cover pre-existing conditions because my wife is pregnant?" And the lady said, "Yeah, absolutely, that's no problem." Well, they covered all of her prenatal visits, but they didn't cover the actual birth of our baby. So we ended up having to pay out of pocket for the whole thing. And
Wow.
that, yeah, we ended up, you know, basically getting on a payment plan and doing all this other stuff. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah. So your third one comes
the,
comes around.
the third one comes around, and she's actually covered by insurance. She was the cheapest out of all of them. It only cost us like, $1,000 for her, and all the others. I mean, my my first one, the medical bills, uh, because I was in the Navy, the Champus was the insurance, and they covered 80% of it, and our 20% was over $20,000.
Phew.
And then, uh,
That's enough to stress anybody out.
yeah, oh yeah, and then my second one was born, and his wasn't covered, and he was, you know, around 10,000. That was just for a regular birth,
Phew,
and
darn.
so. And then the third one comes, and we actually finally have insurance, and we have. So she was the easiest on us, pretty much from a financial standpoint. But yeah,
Did that continue throughout her young life that she was the easiest?
um, uh, at the beginning, yes, but now that's kind of a different story. So yeah, she's 21, and we're still trying to figure out where she fits in the world. So
She's probably trying to figure it out.
oh yeah, absolutely, she'll get it eventually.
Yep.
But anyway, so
So all kids are good.
oh yeah, yep, and
And
yep.
where did your weight loss journey start?
So I after 6 years of being in the electronic shop, I actually decided to take a full daylight job because the in the electronic shop I was rotating shifts. I was doing first and second shift. I did a little bit of third shift, but when I was doing third shift, Austin was 4, and Austin has ADHD, and he was running up and down the halls, jumping on the furniture, and causing all kinds of a racket while I was trying to sleep. So third shift didn't work out too good. But anyway, um, I took the desk job, and I never realized how much actual manual work I did. When I took that desk job, I shot up from like 200 pounds up to like 240 in just a year. And, I was, you know, making a little bit more money with the desk job and everything else. And I really started putting on weight, and so did Shell. I mean, we were both just, eating all the time. We didn't really have any exercise or anything like that. And then uh, in '08, I we started. We went to the gym, and my company just put in a gym, and we entered into the Biggest Loser, and ended up going to the gym for 6 months, and go get my lab work done for my doctor, and he says you're pre-diabetic. Your your A1C is 6.0, and your fasting blood sugar was 140. And I was like, but I'm working out. I should be a little bit better than that. And then, you know, so diabetes just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I got put on metformin in '08, and then I got put on 2 pills of metformin around 2010, and that drove me crazy. I mean, that was, you want to talk about pyrotechnics? That was just, oh, I mean, the second I took that second pill at night, it was instant run to the bathroom, and
Wow.
yeah, it was horrible. And I told the doc after about a year or 6 months of that, I was like, I can't do this anymore. So he prescribed Invocana. So I was taking a 1,000 milligrams of metformin, and I was taking 300 milligrams of Invocana, and my A1C was still getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. It was, gradual, but it wasn't bad. And my sister gave me the South Beach Diet book, and I was, you know, I read that, and I tried that for while I was still, kind of going to the gym. I read that book, and I was trying to eat better, and I was listening to the nutritionist, and I would sit there and I would eat the baked, Fritos, or the baked Doritos, or or even worse, I had the ones with Olean in them. I don't know how many of y'all remember that. Those things, wow, those were, you know, they came up with that Olestra. That was the better vegetable oil that
Oh,
doesn't
geez. I've
spike your
never heard of that
cholesterol.
one.
Yeah, it doesn't spike your cholesterol at all, and it doesn't, you know. So And yeah, Brad, yeah. But anyway, so I I got I got into a car accident in '09, and it messed my back up, and I started having to take 12 ibuprofen a day just to get out of bed. I tried going to a chiropractor. He said I had a pinched nerve in my lower back, and that there's really nothing he can do. He can just temporarily relieve the pain. And I'd have to go 3 times a week. And, you know, yeah. And I would, I mean, I would go 3 times a week, and it was $30 a visit. And after about a month of that, I was like, I can't afford this. And I basically just stopped going. And, but getting back to the diabetes, so my diabetes was getting worse and worse. And then after about a year or two of Invocana, I started noticing neuropathy in my feet.
Oh,
And my feet were just like, pins and needles, always having that numb, prickly feeling.
right.
And I, I was like, I told the doctor about that, and he was like, "Yeah, well, that's been a known side effect of Invocana. We'll try you on Jardiance." And I went on Jardiance, and that was like a 40 milligram pill. It was a smaller pill, so I was kind of happy that I didn't have to take as big of a pill as the Invocana. But yeah, I took that, and at the same time that he put me on the Invocana, he noticed that I had fatty liver and that I had like a 7 centimeter cyst on the side of my liver. And he said I really needed to get it taken care of because it was threatening the integrity of the wall in my liver. And I was like, okay. So he set something up for a doctor in Charlottesville, and I was basically like, okay. So we went up there a couple of times, and we also went to see the nutritionist up there, and the nutritionist was making sure, I was logging all the food I was eating. I was eating the rice cakes with the peanut butter. I was eating the all the healthy granola stuff and oatmeal and yogurt and all the things that they tell you should eat. And things were still getting worse. Everything was getting worse. And the the doctor up in Charlottesville had something happen, and we ended up having to cancel the surgery. And I ended up just dropping it and letting it go. And we went to the nutritionist for a little while, but that was over a 2 hour drive, and
Mm.
I couldn't keep doing that. So uh, here, also at the time, I was having gallbladder attacks, and
Jeez.
those gallbladder attacks were so severe. I think I said in my story that it literally felt like someone shoved a punching balloon up into my abdomen and inflated it as much as it could go. That was the feeling that it was, and the only way I could get any relief at all was to kneel down on the floor and lay down with my head into the seat of the chair,
Right.
because I mean that was the only way to stop the pain and the pressure from just you know
Right. Well, that was that in 2012.
um yeah, that started in 2012.
Okay.
And
In 2010, you talked about you and Shell meeting up with your friend Brian
yep,
and going to the top of Crabtree Falls,
yep,
and you
Crabtree
wound
Falls.
up in the hospital.
I wound up in the hospital then. uh I I, I had we had a went to Subway before, so we'd have something to eat, and I had a whole wheat turkey sub with spinach and cheese on it, and thinking that was pretty healthy, you know. So, and then I got it to the top of Crabtree Falls. It was a pretty decent hike, and I got up there and I was starving, so and I ended up eating that and uh, basically on the way back down, I felt the tightness in my chest and the pain in my chest, and I could hardly breathe. I didn't know what the heck was going on, and Shell ended up taking me to the hospital. Well, Brian's girlfriend at the time, she actually worked at the hospital in the heart lab, so she was the one that did the stress test on me when I did the stress test, and they basically said that everything seemed fine. They checked everything out, and I didn't have any signs of anything. I went to the yeah, Brad, that was Brooke. So uh, anyway, he so I went to the gastroenterologist. They did an upper GI on me, and they couldn't find anything that caused it. So they basically uh, said, you're imagining things. So kind of waved me off. And that was kind of the same thing that happened with the gallstones. I went and had those checked out, and they said there's a little bit of sludge in my gallbladder, but there's no gallstones. And so they basically said there's nothing we can do. Sorry. And they said you need to eat as low fat as possible so you don't aggravate your gallbladder. Oh, that made things that much worse. I mean, I think I said in the story that more than a few nights I would sit there, you know, drenched in sweat, just trying to figure out where I would need to cut to get that gallbladder out of me because I couldn't handle the pain anymore. I was done, and I had
Yep.
2 years of that before they sent me to a general surgeon, and the general surgeon, you know, took me and did this one test. It was they shot me up full of this nuclear fluid that goes through your system and it lights up all your organs.
Right.
Well, my gallbladder didn't light up at all, so there was absolutely no blood flow to my gallbladder. And he said, "Yeah, we need to take your gallbladder out." And I was like, "Wow!" It took 2 years for this to happen, and then, you know, the day before the surgery for my gallbladder, they take my blood sugar and it's over 200. And they said, we can't operate on you because your blood sugar is way too high. We can't, you know, being diabetic. So they gave me 2 liters of insulin to bring my blood sugar back down.
Wow.
And that brought me down to 140. They still didn't like it, but they were actually did the surgery, and I was after 2 years, I was finally pain free of the gallbladder. And but of course, when they take the gallbladder out, you still have other side effects with that. You know, like more bathroom pyrotechnics, and you can't control your bile as well. So all that
Yep.
gassy stuff. And but anyway, so I I really I was getting very discouraged. I was pissed at the world, and I was never really depressed, but I had no passion for life. I just I went to work, I came home. I went to work, I came home. There was nothing there. And it was, I didn't really feel anything at all.
Right. When
And
things keep happening in
oh,
our
yeah,
lives, it's so easy to feel that way and just give up.
right.
And it's so easy for depression to slide in without you knowing it.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
when you feel like, where am I going to go from here?
Right.
What do I do?
Exactly.
It's tough. It's definitely tough.
And then in 2018, uh, that was kind of a big blow for me. Found out that one of my cousins that I used to basically live with ended up taking his own life because he was having uh, health issues and the doctor couldn't figure out what was going on with him. He was an alcoholic basically, and he was drinking to numb the pain, and he ended up, yeah, like I said, taking his life. And I couldn't stop thinking about, what if he had gallbladder problems? What if he had, uh, all the stuff that I had because we had the same genetic markers, you know,
Right.
and, if he had neuropathy in his feet, I mean, if he had, just half the stuff that I went through, you know, he probably, had it a lot worse than I did because, from what I gathered, they said that he was basically a hypochondriac. They said that,
Right.
he they couldn't help him because, you know, there's nothing there. So they can't really do anything to help him. And, it was just, they thought I was a hypochondriac. They thought I was making things up because there was nothing on any of the scans that they did for me.
Right. Everything's coming back okay,
Yep.
and you're not okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
backtracking a little bit more,
Yeah. Sure.
2014
Yeah.
had to have been another tough year for you.
Oh yeah. Oh, 2014 is probably the worst year of my life. And so the beginning of 2014, my sister had just moved in and her kids, Tina, and she, just got all of her stuff into our house, into our basement, and everything else. And on the coldest day that we've had in Lynchburg since, uh, a pipe burst in the attic and flooded our downstairs basement and destroyed everything. We were out of our house for 6 months. We got out of the house in January. We didn't get back into the house until the middle of June.
Mhm.
And so, uh, anyway, um, yeah, that was extremely stressful. And uh, I, Tina, that was the first time she took us to Disney World. And we had the trip planned before that, but she took us down there and that really helped relax things. But there was
Mhm.
still the stress of, you know, we weren't in our house. We were living out of restaurants. We were, you know, didn't
Right.
have
The
all of
the
the
important thing there is uh, things can be fixed,
right. Yeah.
and you all were okay.
Yeah.
That was the main bonus in all of that.
Right. And
Nobody got
then,
hurt.
yeah. And then that April, that flood happened in January. That April, Shell had just lost her job. And so we were just reeling because, she had just spent 2 years. I mean, this is another reason she's as incredible as she is. She went back to school at 42 to become a medical assistant. She had no background in medical, and she graduated uh, magna cum laude out of the
Very
school. And she
nice.
had a 4.0 throughout the whole thing, pretty much. And anyway, so and so, and she was so frustrated with the fact that she had lost her job and she didn't know what the heck she was going to do. And then we get back into our house, and then finally, after that October, I end up, or September, I'm sorry, end up getting my gallbladder taken out finally.
Mhm.
And that was such a relief. And then that November is when my mom passed. And I she passed from Alzheimer's because she was a heavy smoker for most of her adult life. But she was also diabetic. She had multiple heart problems, heart attacks, and uh, she had basically when they scrape the blood vessels going your you know
Mhm.
your main arteries. She had that
Yeah.
done twice,
Wow.
and so basically uh, before that um, that June, I went into the hospital, and my mom is in the hospital. Uh, and I walk in, I go to give her a hug, and she didn't know me. She was like
Mhm.
freaking out because this strange person is walking up to her to give her a hug, and tears in her eyes and streaming down her face and screaming for my dad. And I was just devastated.
It's hard.
Yeah,
It's
I
definitely
was.
hard.
So
That's what Brian's going through with his dad.
yeah, it's
Matt
great.
says, Sean, thank God you aren't one of the 22. The hardships in your life could have led you that way, but you are now an inspiration to him and many, many others.
Uh, Thanks, Matt. I greatly appreciate that. Coming from a fellowship mate, that means a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was extremely thankful that I I didn't try to remove my gallbladder. you know, and then when mom died, I was lost. I just
Mhm.
That's basically when I said screw it. I'm not doing any more of this dieting crap. I'm not doing anything else. I'm just gonna eat. I'm gonna eat what I want when I want and how I want. I'm done. And that's when my A1C started going pretty much through the roof,
Mhm.
and it was crazy. Uh, I have a little bit of a well, I'll show that after I get done.
Okay.
Uh, but in 2019, we've I wanted to go back in 2018 when my cousin passed, but I didn't have a passport. So in 2019, we ended up getting a passport, going over to Ireland, and that basically it gave me something to live for. I was among family. It felt so
Mhm.
great to be in the presence of my mom's brothers and you know all the cousins that I grew up with and everything else. I mean, it was fantastic, and I felt so much better after that. And then towards the end of 2019, uh, Shell started watching Two Crazy Ketos, and she talked to friends of hers at the hospital, and they were the ones that pointed her to the Two Crazy Ketos, and their backstory. They lost you know a combined weight of over 200 pounds and everything else, and I was like, those pictures don't even look like them. That can't be them. I couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah. And then January, right after Christmas, Shell was like, I'm doing this. I'm like, well, have fun. Good luck. You know, I was kind of, yeah, okay. Yeah,
They
do
were
it.
still in that mind frame. I'm gonna eat what I want and the heck with it.
That's right. And so, anyways, in January of 2020, she started keto, and within a month, she was already needing new clothes. She had lost. I don't know if she lost that much weight because we never really checked. Never had a scale, and so we had lost. She had lost that much weight that we actually. She went from, I want to say she was like a size 18 down to like a size 14,
Wow.
and almost four sizes. That she needed new clothes, and I was like, wow, this is nuts. And then she sat me down and she showed me a video of Dr. Barry saying, you can reverse your diabetes. You can rewrite your script. You can change your life. All you have to do is eat this way. And the whole time I was thinking, okay, he's going to plug some vitamin. Okay, he's going to plug something that I have to do to stay on keto. You know, he wasn't really calling it the proper human diet at the time, but he was like, all you have to do is eat red fatty meat or fatty meat, a little bit of veg, a little bit of nuts, and you know you'll
Yeah.
you'll reverse your diabetes. And I started in February of 2020, and I was at a 7.4 A1C. And by the time June rolled around, being still on my medication, I dropped down to a 5.2
Wow.
in just literally 5 months.
Now, did you know? I know you said you didn't have a scale.
No,
Do you know what your highest weight was?
I was, my highest weight
Because I know
was,
they weigh you at the doctor, whether you want
yeah,
to or not.
right. So my highest weight uh, back in my, don't give a damn, I was up around 260 pounds.
Okay.
And Shell, she never went to the doctor. She never, she just, if she was, the, the doctors were, you know, kind of the same with her. She had pains in her wrist, carpal tunnel, or whatever. And the doctors were like, we took x rays, we didn't see anything. You know, there's nothing wrong with you. It's all in your head. And so she got so fed up, she was like, well, screw it. I'm just not going to go to the doctor. They can kiss my butt. I don't care. That's pretty much the way she is.
All they would have done was try to put her on medication
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. So, uh, you know, so like I said, she was never weighed herself. We ended up getting a scale in like March, but by the time she got the scale in March, I was down to about 220 pounds, and she was down to right around 200. And we can only guess, but I would say if you look at that picture, she was every bit of 250 to 260 pounds. And I mean, she's well, 5'5", but with getting older, she's probably 5'4" now. But
Hey, now.
yeah, she, yeah, she, she tells me that she's like, I'm 5'4" now. But anyway, she, and then I go back to the doctor that June, and he sees my A1C at 5.2. He's like, holy crap, we got to take you off of something, metformin. And I wanted to get off the Jardiance because my foot pain was, you know, I think the Jardiance didn't help that at all. I got to go into a foot doctor, and foot doctor put me on Lyrica at first, and I was literally passing out at my desk. I couldn't keep my head up.
Wow.
I was exhausted. I mean, I didn't even feel it coming. I'd
Mhm.
sit there and be, I do 3D modeling for work, so I do tooling, and I'm sitting there drawing, and next thing you know, my head is slammed up against the keyboard, and my mouse hand is all the way over here, and the part is just spinning around in circles, going nuts.
Jeez.
And 5'4.5".
Gotta have that half, right,
That's right.
Shell? Absolutely.
But yeah, and I mean, so I told the foot doctor about that, and he was like, "Okay, we'll put you on gabapentin." Well, and then every time I went to the foot doctor, he was putting jabbing needles in my foot to kind of numb the tingling stuff. And I'm like, my gracious, this just sucks. But anyway,
Mm.
so I go to the doctor, and my A1C is 5.2, and he's like, yeah, okay. And my fasting blood sugar was in the 130s. That was the lowest it has been in like 9 years. And I so he takes me off of metformin, and then he asked me, he's like, "So what are you doing?" And I made the mistake. I said, "Well, I'm doing keto." And he looked at me and he was like, "Are you crazy? With your health, you're gonna have a heart attack. You're gonna freaking die." And I was like, "Look at me. I'm in the best shape of my life. How can you say that?"
Mhm.
And he literally said, you know, I told him what I was eating. I was eating burgers. I was eating bacon. I was eating, you know, red fatty meat, and I was, you know, eating a little bit of vegetables and a little bit of fruit here and there. And he was like, "Well, that doesn't sound too awful bad." I'm like, "As long as you're not eating a plate full of bacon every day." And I'm like, "Well, maybe."
There's worse things you could
Yeah,
do.
yeah. But anyway, so I'm on keto, and things are going great. And you know, the so this is 2020, and then COVID hits, and I'm thinking this is like a sign from God. This is what I'm supposed to be doing because the world shut down. You know, you can't go out to get fast food anymore. You can't go eat anywhere. Maybe we're supposed to just make our own food, and you know this is what we're supposed to be doing. So
Yep.
I was like, hell, we went out and bought a little charcoal grill, and we started grilling ribeyes in the backyard in February and March. It wasn't too cold most of the time. So, but even when it was cold out, we still were under a balcony, so under a overhang anyway. So we just started cooking out pretty much every weekend. And now my next lab appointment comes up, and he's like, "Holy crap, your A1C is 4.9." He goes,
It's awesome.
"I don't want to take you off the Jardiance because there's some effects there that will help you." And he did say that I still had fatty liver disease, and that I should really get that checked out. And had I known then what I know now, I probably wouldn't have. You know, I, but I get it checked out, and Shell works in endoscopy in Roanoke, and I get it checked out, and it's 14 centimeters. I mean, that it's like the size of a small orange. Take
Assist.
Yeah, pretty much took up most of the liver, and so Shell talked to one of her the doctors she works with, and set me up with an appointment, and I go to the appointment, and he does the ultrasound, and he says, "Yeah, we need to get that taken care of." And had I known that all I had to do is just keep eating the way I was eating, it would have gone away on its own. But and so I get that cyst burned out of me in 2021, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm doing great. There was still a little bit of side effect burn there, the surgery and everything. There was a little bit of pain there, but for the most part, and that was the other thing I noticed, that the pain in my back was gone. I I went from taking so another thing I don't say in the story, I was taking this pill called Duexis, and it is 800 milligrams of ibuprofen with 40 milligrams of famotidine mixed in with it. And I was doing that because the ibuprofen was eating away the lining of my stomach. And that was the only thing that was going to save my stomach, because the only way I could function was to eat that much ibuprofen every day. You know,
And that was because of the cyst, which had come about back in 2015, right?
well, that was basically from the accident, the the car accident that I had in '09. I had back pain pretty much.
Oh, I mean the cyst. You had mentioned in your story that in 2015 they found a cyst on your liver.
Yeah, the
Okay.
the the cyst on my liver, but they never really said that that was causing any of the pain.
Right.
But yeah, that so it was a fatty liver cyst is what it was called. It was a hepatic cyst.
And it was 6 years later that they took it out.
6 years later that they
Wow.
and at that time in 2015 it was only like 10 centimeters. So
Mhm.
it had grown. I could only imagine what it had been before I started keto. That thing must have took up the entire liver, and it was extremely lucky, fortunate that my liver didn't rupture from it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that was another thing that kind of, yeah, I there was quite a few near death experiences.
Mhm.
But anyway, uh, I go and I get that done, and then everything's going great. I, then I go to 2022, and Shell and I set up a cruise uh, to go to Europe. And in 2022, the doctor takes me off, says I can get off the rest of my medication. And I'm like, fantastic. I
Awesome.
I didn't I wasn't very smart about it. I just like took all the pills and dumped them in the trash can and said, "Well, I'm done with these. I don't need them anymore."
Ooh.
And I was like, "Yeah, I feel great." And he told me to monitor everything, and told me that if I see any spikes in blood pressure, that I should go ahead and start taking my blood pressure medicine again. And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. So I monitored it for 2 weeks, maybe a month, and I was like, yeah, this thing's rock solid. I'm my blood pressure's fine. I don't have anything to worry about. I We go on our cruise, and a month before they changed the COVID restrictions, and so we ended up having to cancel that cruise, and we booked another cruise to the Caribbean. We did Cozumel and the Bahamas, and pretty much all of that.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. And then one of the sea days, we're sitting there lying out, and I go to stand up, and I couldn't stand up. The world was spinning. The whole world was just I there's no other way to describe it except for everything being flipped on its end. And Shell at the time she was 135 pounds and I was like 185 pounds. And she had to physically, prop me up to keep me, uh, walking straight.
Mm.
And she did that pretty much all the way to our stateroom. And, she's a hell of a lot stronger than you could ever imagine.
Yep.
So we sat there for a while, and I just wasn't getting any better. And finally, we ended up going down to sick call down there, and they do an EKG on me, and everything looks good for the EKG. And then uh, they gave me fluids and electrolytes and all of that, and I was taking, element. Salty wasn't around at that time, but I was
Hmm.
taking element, and we used the Redmond's Relight as well.
Yep.
And I just still wasn't feeling any better, and they and I couldn't believe that it was electrolyte issue, but that's what they ended up saying. I spent about an hour, and they basically released me and said, if you don't feel any better, come back later. And they told me couldn't, I couldn't use my insurance. I had to pay the bill and then get the paperwork, and I had to send the thing off to the insurance company.
Right.
And that 1 hour in the sick call, or it might have been maybe an hour and a half in the sick call, and that bill was $2,200.
Jeez.
I was I was shocked. I was like, and we had to pay it. We couldn't bill the insurance. They wouldn't basically wouldn't let us off the ship if we didn't pay it. So we ended up putting it on our charge card, and you know putting it through our insurance. And of course, our insurance was saying, you know, they won't cover it because it was out of the United States, and there's nowhere to put all of that stuff, or
That's crazy. Like nobody's supposed to travel anywhere.
right.
That's insane. Hopefully you got it back.
We did. It took six
Good.
months to get it back, but we got it back.
That's
And
good.
well, so we this was in Port Canaveral, or Everglade, or Canaveral, yeah. And we drove up to my sister Karen's house where my dad was staying, and we're sitting there talking, having a good time. And then Shell looks over and she sees my dad. You know, the whole left side of his face was drooping, and he started slurring his words. And we're like, "Oh crap, Dad, you're having a stroke!" And he was just like, my dad hates hospitals mainly because of all the crap that he's been through. And that's a whole nother story. But
So what did it wind up? Sorry, what did it wind up being with you when you were getting the dizzy spells on the cruise and
vertigo. So
just
basically,
vertigo?
yeah, just vertigo.
Okay.
And
All right, because we didn't get there, so I was like,
yeah,
what happened?
right.
Okay, so then your dad.
Yeah. So my dad had a stroke, and basically they have to fly him from Brunswick, Georgia, back down to Jacksonville, Florida. And you know, he was sitting there protesting the entire time. He was like, "I'm not having a stroke. I'm not having a stroke. What symptoms or what tests did they run?" And I was like, "Dad, they did a CT of your brain, and they saw a blood clot in your brain. So you are having a stroke." And that was the only thing that I could say to convince him that, yeah, it's happening. And he's pretty stubborn. I get it from him, I guess. But but anyway, so they fly him down to Florida or Jacksonville, and they had the blood clot removed pretty much 15 minutes after he hit the landing pad. You know,
Nice. And how is
And
he now?
he still suffers from a lot of the. He's another one I want to get on keto. He he's still suffering. He's still has he falls a lot because he doesn't have full control of his left side,
Mm.
and he's just you know he's just a stubborn old mule. I mean, he won't give up. He's like, Dad, you can't do this, and he's like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Consequences be damned. I'm gonna do it. So
Well, if he stops doing what the things he wants to do,
yeah,
he's going to stop living.
oh yeah,
And that's everybody. If they don't continue moving and doing what they want to do, there's no reason for them to go on.
right.
And so yeah, as much as he can do, he's got to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But and he can barely walk right now. I mean, but thankfully a couple of years ago he gave up drinking. Well, he was forced to give up drinking, but
Mhm.
you know, yeah. So anyway, he had his stroke, and we end up having to go to work. Well, Shell had to go to work that Tuesday because that was July 4th weekend. So we drove up, you know, that Sunday, and then came back down to visit him in September. Uh, then we went to the Blue Ridge Rock Festival, the rock concert in September, and we had a great time. That was the first time we ever camped as a family. Our whole family went, and it was
Good,
fantastic.
good.
And then here's the kicker. uh, October comes around, and October 1st, Shell and I had a big, huge fight. And I we both don't remember what the heck we were fighting about. It was something trivial. You know,
That's
most
normal.
most most of the time it is, but we were pretty pissed at each other. And yeah, she she has just as good a temper as I do. she she can get pretty mad, get pretty loud too, and you know. But I had so we have an arrangement where she does the riding mower and I do all the push mowing and all the weed eating and all that stuff. And I just got done doing all the weed eating, and then Austin comes over and I'm working on his car. We're changing the spark plugs in his car, and I just got done. We had this one metal gate that was falling off the fence, so I picked that thing up because keto strong. I picked that thing up all by myself, chucked it in the back of the truck, and drove it down to the dump and chucked it in the dumpster and didn't have anybody help me. And you know, I, so that was October 1st, and October 2nd of 2022. I woke up that morning and I had this burning pain in my left shoulder, and I was like, what the hell is going on? You know, I hadn't had bursitis attack in years, and I used to get bursitis all the time because, manual labor, I did all of that. So, uh, and then I, I was like, it'll go away. And then it started, creeping into my chest a little bit. And I was like, well, that's kind of new. I don't know what's going on there. So I'm like, oh, I'll take a couple of baby aspirin and see what happens. So I took 4 baby aspirin, and the pain went away, and I was like, okay, no big deal. About an hour later, I the pain comes back, and it comes back tenfold, and it's like over not just my shoulder, it's like over the center of my chest. I'm like, what is that? Holy crap. I mean, there was a lot more colorful words going on than that. But and I took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was like 200 over 120. I was like, holy crap, what is,
Ouch.
my gracious. And I mean, yeah, I told Shell, I was like, we have to go to the hospital. I mean, this is not good. And she thought I was, basically just having like a panic attack or something. She didn't think anything to the effect. And then, we don't call an ambulance. She puts me in the car and gets in the driver's seat and takes off like a bat out of hell to the hospital. And we get to the hospital and we say, I'm having chest pains. I wasn't having any of the other symptoms. I didn't have like the sweatingness, the shortness of breath, or anything else of that. It was just intense chest pain. And I was like, yeah, something is going on. And they hooked me up immediately to the EKG and they say, you're having a heart attack. I'm like, I can't be having a heart attack. I'm doing keto. I, that's impossible. I can't. No. And then they're like, no, you're having a heart attack. And they gave me a nitroglycerin pill and they threw me in the back of an ambulance and took off to, I was in Bedford, and they took off to Lynchburg because they have a cardiac cath lab there. And they wheeled me up and into the cath lab. And Shell was like maybe 2 minutes behind him. And, they stripped me down and put me in the gown and they shave my chest. They shave my nether region just in case they had to go in with the cardiac catheter through my leg if they couldn't go through my arm. They ended up going through my arm, and I swear to God, the pain of that thing going through your arm and up into your chest was just unbelievable. It felt like somebody was shoving a barbed wire up through my arm and
Ugh.
into. I mean, after it gets past this point here, you don't really feel it, but all the way up until that point, it was like, yeah, on fire. And I was like, holy crap. This. And they told me, so you have some blockages in your, it wasn't the main two arteries, but it was basically the one artery that goes from the top of your heart and runs across the top of your heart down to the bottom of your heart. And that was 99% blocked. And then they found another one that was 80% blocked. And so they put the two stents in and they told me that I had to come back later for another one in a couple of weeks because they didn't want to do too much to me at one time. So I'm sitting in that hospital bed thinking I'm the biggest idiot on the planet and, banging my fist against my head, just, giving up all hope. And that's when Shell comes in and basically says, you're not quitting a damn thing. You're doing this. She was like, this is the right thing to do. This is what we're supposed to do. You're doing it. And I'm like, I just had a heart attack doing this. You want me to do this? And I was like, yeah. But anyway, she was sitting there, basically bringing me in the burgers she cooked from home while they were feeding me like grilled chicken and yogurt and granola and all kinds of other stuff.
All kinds
She,
of junk.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She was, yeah, basically, she brought me in other things that I could eat. They were not as bad as most hospitals. I was able to eat like eggs and I was able to eat grilled chicken, but it was just egg whites and it was grilled chicken and it was turkey bacon. all the low fat stuff. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I
Well,
ended up,
fat's going to kill us, right?
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, wow. So 3 weeks later, I come back and I get the other one put in, and they put me on a, a bunch of other medicine. They put me on lisinopril. They put me on metropolol. They put me on Pasagrel for the blood clotting, and they put me on famotidine because of whatever side effects metropolol causes. You need to have protection so it doesn't eat away the lining of your stomach. And with those new medicines, I've felt joint pain, inflammation, and all of that stuff. And then a second time they go in for the 2 weeks later, they went through the exact same spot that they went through before, and it felt 5 times worse. I thought the first time was bad, and I was like, "Good Lord, is there any way you can go anywhere else?" And they're like, "Oh, we're almost there now." So
It might have been worse somewhere else.
right, yeah. But anyway, so uh, they put that in, and the pain. I had this radiating pain all the way through my arm, and all the way in the other shoulder. That they went in my right arm, and I was like, "My God, what the heck is going on?" You know, and uh, so I told my cardiologist about it, and he's basically like, "Okay, they put me on a torvastat," and he's like, "Yeah, that can be one of the side effects of that atorvastatin," and they put me on a different statin, and the pain went away. I was like, "Well, yeah, gee, thanks. I could have done without that." And the lisinopril was causing a bit of a cough. They actually call it. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but whatever that brand of medicine is, they call it that kind of a cough. And I was coughing my lungs out, and then uh, we started walking at work during COVID, and one of my walking buddies, Marie. I mean, she was like, I call her my sister from another mister, and she she's like 5'2" and weighs like 130 pounds. I mean, she is itty bitty.
Wow.
And Christmas, around Christmas time, yeah, I forgot about the other part of that story too. But anyway, so yeah, that November, uh, so that November 4th, um, a, a friend of mine from work, a colleague, somebody that I had respected a lot, uh, he passed away from a heart attack at work at his desk. He was found unresponsive. And I just kept thinking, I had just left that area. And, uh, you know, if I hadn't left that area, maybe I could have talked to him. Maybe I could have told him my experience. And, you know, just thinking when a tragedy like that happens, you can only think about,
The what ifs.
what
Yeah.
I could have done.
Yeah.
If I talked to him and told him, hey, if you're having pain in your chest, you big dummy, you need to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good old farm boy you know, from the sticks of Virginia.
Right.
He basically probably thought he was just muscle pain or whatever. He popped a couple of Advil and took off and went to work. But anyway, that's another regret that you know I have.
Yeah, but you can't do that to yourself because you can't second guess what's going to happen to someone else.
Yeah,
You can't. you can't possibly feel like you need to be there for everyone.
That is so true. But I
Don't beat yourself up. Don't do that.
yeah. But anyway, I I had a heart attack, and in December I had another bout of vertigo, and I couldn't walk again. And I called up my friend Marie, and she was like, uh, "Hey, what's wrong?" I was like, "Well, I'm dizzy and I can't walk." And like I said, Marie, being the really small person that she is, she walked me all the way down to the dock in the box at work. And because I just had a heart attack, they're like, "All right, you're going back to the ambulance and you're back in the hospital again." And I'm like, "What the heck am I doing now?" You know, I was like, they were they were like, "Well, you're having basically a vertigo attack," and essentially vertigo, the crystals
Mhm.
and your ear canal have basically shifted, and they cause your whole world to get completely screwed up. I mean,
Oh yeah, I have that.
yeah,
Bothers me at night sometimes, but
oh
that
yeah,
whew, it's bad.
yeah, oh,
But
it's
anyway,
horrible. Yeah, sorry, I'm
no,
ranting.
you're good.
But anyway, uh, she walks me down there, and she calls Shell, and Shell shows up. I mean, she got from Roanoke to Lynchburg. It's about an hour drive. She got there in about 40, 45 minutes. Uh,
She got a lead foot.
yeah, well, yeah, yeah, she wanted to know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
So, and I did too. But the doc there was like, he heard me coughing, and he was like, "What the hell's going on with your cough?" And he goes, uh, basically, I told him I've had it ever since I started taking the lisinopril. And he was like, "Yeah, you have whatever that medicine's called, cough, and that doctor needs to take you off that medicine and put you on something else." So he ended up putting me on losartan, and I was like, "Yeah, whatever, one pill, another pill, whatever." So we ended up getting stricter on keto, and basically we're now keto 4, is what we call it. We don't eat any more than 10 total carbs a day. We don't, uh, you know, well, every once in a while we'll splurge here and there, but not very often.
Right.
And we sign up for this other cruise that she wants to go on, and it was the low carb cruise. And I saw the speakers, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." Dr. Barry was on there. Dr. Boz was on there. Coach Bronson, uh, Chris and Miriam Bear were speaking. Nurse Cindy was speaking,
Mm.
and of course the two crazy ketos were hosting and speaking. And I I went to that cruise, and I was looking for answers. I wanted to know, you know, I kind of knew in the back of my head, but I wanted to know, how could this have happened, you know? And I talked to Dr. Barry, and I asked him, during his that was the cool thing about his presentation. He doesn't sit there and have slides or anything else like this. He goes, "I'm here to answer your questions.
Yep.
I'm, I don't, I could fool around and give you this presentation, but y'all see my videos. You know what I talk about. You know what you're supposed to be doing." And I asked him, I was like, so I was doing keto for 2.5 years, and I had a heart attack. And I said, what do you say to the doctor that tells you, if you keep doing keto, you're going to have a heart attack? And you have a heart attack, and the doctor says, I told you so. You big dummy. What were you doing? And so I told him that, and Dr. Barry looked at me and he goes, telling people that doing keto is dumb is like telling people that breathing air and drinking water is dumb. People have been eating this way since the dawn of time. This is the proper human diet. Your doctor is an idiot, and he
That
needs,
sounds like Dr. Barry.
yeah, essentially. And that's
Yep.
what he said. He goes, listen, doctors are just dudes and chicks. They need to learn just as much as anybody else did. They basically, what happened to you, although it was, you know, a tragedy that it could have been, you know, you know, it was done long ago, from the 48 years of eating the crap food that you were eating before.
Yep.
And sometimes when you're getting healthy and doing the right things, that stuff can happen. You're not bulletproof doing keto. Things, things can still happen to you.
Yep.
And that's when I got to thinking. I was like, what would have happened if I had that heart attack before I started keto? I mean, I looked at that chart for hours on end sitting in that hospital, and I couldn't stop looking at it. That's all I did was I studied that chart that they showed me. I'm going to show a picture of it here in a minute. But anyway, uh, my two main vessels were completely clear. They had 20% blockage in one and none in the other. The ones that were blocked were the smaller ones at the bottom.
Yep.
How much blockage did I have before I started keto? I
Hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Hard to say.
And what would have happened to me if I had that heart attack before keto? I mean, I probably wouldn't be here. I mean, uh, so
You probably would still be here because when it's your time, it's your time.
yeah, true.
However, you would have been a lot more miserable
Yeah,
than you were then.
they
And you probably would have undergone way more intensive surgery
yeah they
than
probably would have
the
cracked me open, and had to do the double or triple bypass, or all of that stuff.
right.
And
But you would
but
have still been here.
yeah,
Michelle probably would have wanted to kill you, but you
yeah,
still would have been here.
oh yeah,
I'm
but
just teasing.
yeah, I get it. But again, that's when I think about my friend at work and what happened to him. And it you know could have been worse, a lot worse.
Yep,
I'll just say that.
it
And
sure could have.
yeah,
So today,
yeah.
how many medications are you on?
So I am uh, I'm still on the metoprolol, the losartan, and the famotidine. Uh, I'm not taking the statin. As much as they scream and yell at me, I won't do it, because being, having Alzheimer's is more of a fear for me.
Mhm.
But I'm only on one dose a day. I basically cut my medicines in half. I
That's
still have, like I said, I'll take those pills in the morning, and thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
yep.
But anyway, uh, yeah, I take them in the morning, and I, after talking with Bronson and Dr. Barry, plus my cardiologist, I work out uh, 3 times a week at the gym. I'll work out here at home. I go for about a mile and a half walk every day with my walking buddies at work, and we sit there and we talk and carry on and just have a good time. It helps alleviate the stress of work as well as
Oh, of course.
getting good exercise and so on and so forth. And
But how are you feeling nowadays?
oh, fantastic! I mean, the
Good.
numbness in my feet, I still have a little bit. It's not bad, but
Mhm.
neuropathy in my feet's almost gone. My A1C, the last time I checked back in February, is 5.2. So it's creeping up a little bit, but uh, you know, uh, back pain, have none. I mean, just gone. I don't take any ibuprofen. Uh, Thank you, Chris. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Um,
Yes.
so, I mean, all of the inflammation in my knees, all of the problems I've had with my hips. I've been working with a physical therapist from work, and that physical therapist, they'll sit there and they'll get me doing like agility exercises. They'll have me doing, you know, uh, strength training and things like that. And I I'm still a work in progress, but hey, we
Aren't
all,
we all?
yeah. I mean, you, we stopped for a couple weeks when we went to Ireland, and we did walk quite a bit when we went to Ireland, but it wasn't the same workout and everything. And I lost a little bit, but started going back immediately, and I gaining my strength back and everything. We're you know we're living the two crazy ketos motto. Living life beyond the couch. We're always on the move. We're camping. We're you know going out and doing things. We got a kind of a busy weekend planned this weekend. You know,
Good.
doing stuff. I got to work tomorrow, but yeah, boo. Yeah, but anyway, you know,
But that's
uh,
good.
yeah, I'm very thankful, and that's the other thing I wanted to say. Before that cruise, I didn't know anything about this community at all. I we I mean we watched the YouTube videos and we were like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll do this cooking thing, and then Heath and Shelly, we ran into them at the 2KK cruise, and they are just phenomenal people. They are just fantastic, and love them to death. And they told us, uh, you should join the Hungry Horde, and we're like, what the hell's that? And they're like, oh yeah, that's our community, our group. And I'm like, we watch your videos. What is that? Thanks, Brenda. I appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm glad you
Very,
enjoyed
very
them.
nice.
But anyway, so I was like, what's this community thing? And then heard Joe and Rachel talking about it. I'm like, there it is again, community. And then Dr. Barry, he has his tribe. I'm like, what is this stuff that we have no idea what they're talking about? And then they told us about the Friday night feast, and I know kind of missing that, but I'm sure they'll understand. But yeah, and like I said, when I was on the ship, we met all of those wonderful people, and then I go to the anesthetic conference up in Maryland the month after the cruise, and talking to Coach Bronson, talking to Natalie, and talking to uh, you know Joe and Rachel, and talking to all the people there, and then meeting Coach Bronson's mom. That woman is incredible. I mean, she is just crazy. I mean, she started doing it for osteoporosis and osteopenia, and you know she started working out with a PVC pipe, and now she's actually doing actual weights and everything and weight training. And I'm like, at 69 years old, that's
Nice.
that's crazy. And but anyway, so we started attending the live streams with Friday Night Feast, and then we started joining the 2KK live streams, and that led us to Dustin Keto Simple, and then Dustin and Keto Simple led us to you, and led us to Chris Cook in Nashville, and led us to Andy, My Lady Laughs a Lot, and led us to Maitreya, Radical Geek, and led us to all of these other wonderful, amazing people. And I am very grateful for all of these people in my life now.
And
I could,
Sarah's joyful journey.
yep,
That
Sarah's
way.
joyful journey. Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. I don't mean to miss anybody. I'm trying to,
Hey,
yeah,
there are so many people out here, and thank you for all the acknowledgement because this is not easy to do.
no,
I'll tell you. These
absolutely.
are easy. These have gotten really easy.
Yeah,
The other stuff, eh. Claire Dandis, amazing. She said inspiration for me.
yeah. But,
And Andy said hi.
I,
So you wanted to show us some things.
oh, yeah, absolutely. So here, uh, I'll go ahead and share
Just
my,
don't boot yourself off.
I'll share my screen. Uh, let's see, what is it? Okay. Yeah, I'll share that one first. So that
See if
is
it'll work.
my A1C
I have to
for,
pull it up. Hang on. There you go. Is that the one you wanted to share?
yep, that
Okay.
is it. So that is my A1C for the past 7 years. As you can
Yeah.
see, uh,
Starts at 6.5,
yep, that's,
2020 up to almost 7.5.
yep. And then
And
you
then,
can look at that and you can see when I started keto. And
yep.
that is what keto will do to you.
Oh,
I mean, so I dropped down to 4.8, 4.9. And then, I ramp back up. Well, that little ramp back up is actually where I went off the Jardians. And then it went level straight back down.
yep.
And that's the whole reason why I did keto right there.
Very good.
And this is the graph. I I don't know if you can see that.
Well, are you finished with this one?
Yeah.
There you go. Can
So
you
this
see
is
it?
the yep. This is the graph of what they found with the blockage in my arteries. You can see that the two main arteries here were barely even touched, and only the lower arteries were blocked. And like I said, I can only imagine what this would have been had I not started keto. I mean
Yep.
that 20% LAD artery, that the LAD artery, that's the main one. That's the widowmaker is what they call it.
Yep.
But yeah, so and as much as I am grateful for all of that, I am so much more grateful for my wife and this amazing community. I am just so I every single one of you have amazing stories. Every single one of you have fought like hell to get where you're at right now, and I can only say that I am very proud to be part of this group.
And we are definitely proud to have you both.
Yeah. And
Nancy says, Sean and Michelle, we can't wait to have a meetup when you're here in January. Matt and Sarah, we need to get together and plan our barbecue dinner place. Nice.
yeah, I can't wait for that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. And again, Cindy, uh, I just want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I really appreciate everything you do in your channel. And Brian is, you know,
He's
I
crazy.
he's a hoot. I, yeah,
He's crazy.
yeah, he's a great personality. I really enjoy him.
He
Uh,
is. He's a great guy.
yeah,
I can mess with him all the time, but he's a great guy. He's here playing the dinner. Sean, Michelle, Joe, Rachel, and anyone who wants to come.
yeah. So I mean, if anybody has any questions, yeah. Hopefully nobody fell asleep. I can
Oh.
be I can be a little bit boring sometimes. I tend to go on. I I
Michelle said it sounds like a wonderful idea in Florida.
yeah. I teach solid edge modeling to people at work, and I teach blueprinting and drafting and things like that. So I know my voice is not the most productive voice for teaching. I I can I can definitely put a crowd to sleep. So,
Ah,
but
if anybody fell asleep during your story, I don't know. Because I'm telling you, I could not put that down. When I started reading it, it was probably 11:30 at night,
right.
and I couldn't.
I,
I could not stop. It was like probably 1:30 before I finished and went to bed.
hey, my son Austin is in the chat.
Well, hello, Austin.
Yep.
See
He
there?
because he's the one that showed up. He's the favorite for now.
He's the he's
Well,
the favorite
the,
for now.
yeah, the other one is probably hanging out, and I don't know if she's over there sitting with Shell or not. No.
From his sideways face on this picture,
Yeah.
from what I can tell, he looks like you.
Well, yeah. He has Shell's eyes and Shell's hair, but the face is pretty much me. Poor kid.
My older son has been. Everybody says he looks like me.
Right.
I said that poor child. And then my younger son has got green eyes. He looks dead on his father. And I mean, he was not, he. I can't. He's dead. I can't say anything. But yeah, he just wasn't a good father. That's all. But Jason looks just like him.
You got that
John, you
right,
know the
Matt.
Navy can sleep through anything, but we can also stay awake for long periods too. Your story definitely didn't put me to sleep.
So
That's awesome, Matt.
when I was in the Navy, I was on the carrier, the John F. Kennedy, and my
Nice.
berthing was right underneath the two front catapults of the ship. So uh, the one thing you did not want to hear was night flight ops come over the microphone, because hearing those catapults go off while you're sleeping is definitely a shocker. We were also beside the forecastle where the anchors are. So you also didn't want to hear precision anchor drops going on either. So because that pretty much shook the whole berthing when that happened. But that's one of the things, you know, Shell kind of makes fun of me for the fact that I can sleep through a bomb going off, and you know, she'll actually have to physically turn over and kick me out of bed to get me up. So
Michelle said your oldest son Kevin is working right now.
he works second shift.
Andy said it was an amazing story to listen to. Quite the details.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean for it to go on for as long as it did.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine.
yeah,
I don't. Not that I want to go into their time slot. However, I am not going to stop anybody
right.
midstream. Karen says, thanks so much for sharing.
So
This character is the guinea pig, also known as Brian. Thank you. The only way to get through life is to laugh a lot.
you got that right, Brian. Absolutely. I think
Yeah,
Jess
he
has
was
a question.
a big Dale Earnhardt fan,
Oh, big
which
Dale
is
Earnhardt.
why the Dale.
The Dale 38. Yeah. Dale
Yeah,
3
well,
and Dale
3
2.
and then 8 was the son. He was more
Yep.
Dale Senior.
Right.
Big fan.
Yeah.
What does a day of eating look like now, Sean?
So we basically, well, Michelle and I do things a little differently. She's put back on a little bit of weight, so she's still trying to fine tune things to get things, right for her. I'm still fine tuning things for me. So basically, right now, what I do is I do 2 meals a day. I narrow up my eating window, and because I eat at work for lunch, and I eat uh, dinner pretty much when we get home, and so uh, I'll I pack pretty much the same thing every day for. So I have 2 hard-boiled eggs, 4 pieces of bacon, and then whatever is in our leftover meat bin. So yeah, our meat bin consists of we'll cook up on on the weekend. We'll cook up a, a dozen burgers. We'll you know fry up a bunch of ribeyes and some New York strips, and yeah, bacon, lots of bacon. We'll do 2 sheets of bacon, 4 pound bacon, and so every day I have 2 hard-boiled eggs and 4 pieces of bacon, and then I'll eat like a half of a ribeye or a half of a New York strip or uh, a burger with cheese, or if we had like taco meat, we'll do taco meat. I'll eat you know a bowl of that, or it's essentially our one of our favorite things to do. Well, my favorite thing to do is to smoke meat. I will every weekend. We have the boys over, and I'll smoke ribs. I'll smoke salmon. I'll smoke uh, brisket. I'll smoke pork belly, or I'll do pork butt.
Do you watch Ready Set Keto? James
I
and Emily.
um I don't believe so. I think
I'm
I've
gonna
seen.
tell you. You talk about smoking. They smoke chili. They
Yeah.
smoke everything. To watch them, it's fun. It's pretty wild.
So
Matt, I had the same birthing on this John C. Stennis right under the bow catapults. I
yeah,
can sleep through anything, but can wake up if the background noise goes away.
yeah, exactly. So one of our favorite things to do is when we're smoking our ribs or a brisket, we'll put pats of butter all over it, and when we wrap it, and then what we'll do is we'll take all of that butter and we'll dump it into a Dixie cup, and we'll save all of that butter, and it has all of that nice smoky uh,
I bet
flavor
that's
to it.
delicious.
Yeah, and we Shell, when she cooked dinner tonight, she we did shaved steak and eggs for dinner tonight. We get the little Kroger's 1 pound packs of shaved steak,
Hmm.
and we'll do like 3 or 4 eggs each with it. And she ended up using that butter to
Oh
cook
man, I was
the
just gonna
shaved
say,
steak.
I bet that would be great. I
Uh,
would cook eggs in it for
yeah,
sure.
we do
That
that as well. Yeah,
that sounds delicious.
yeah.
Michael works second shift too, but he's off this week.
Oh man,
Very
lucky dog.
nice. Yeah. Nancy, thank you, Sean, for sharing your story. God has been on your side. Praise God, you have gotten through so much.
Amen, Nancy. Thank you.
And then Michelle says, I started strength training.
She did.
Very good.
Yep, she's constantly working out. Right when she gets home from work, I mean, she puts on her Fitbit watch, you know, and she walks the length and the breadth of that hospital 2 3 times over every single day
Hmm.
with her job. I mean, every single day she pretty much has 15 to 20,000 steps. I mean, it's crazy. And then she comes home and she's like, I hadn't done enough. I need to work out. So she'll do strength training and, you know, more fitness training and things like that. So
Kim Halper is one of mine. Thank you, Kim. And that had been a while. I just now saw that. I'm gonna shut this banner off, and I want to thank all of my members, Sean, and everyone else that's listed here. I can't thank all of you enough. That it's just meant so much to me, and I didn't think it would ever go anywhere when I started this at all.
yeah,
My sister says keeping strong is vital as we get older. Got to keep moving. Oh my word.
that
Mark
is
this
true.
day in history because she said she's getting older. Holy crap. The, the
You,
world's going
you
to
got it
end
on
now.
video now, Cindy. She can't take it back.
I know, right? She said it right there.
Yep.
That's funny. That's just too good.
Yeah.
I got to say, this week, this week, as you know, I've been doing an egg fast.
Right.
And I tomorrow's my last day. After 3 days, I lost 5 pounds
Oh wow.
of just eggs, a little bit of cheese and butter. That's it. That's in an
Yeah,
egg fast. This
that's good.
morning it was 6 pounds. But I figure I've already lost 100 pounds.
Right.
I didn't go off plan and pack on a bunch of garbage weight. I did put on a little more weight. Chalk Zero did it to me, I swear.
Yeah.
But but it's coming back off.
Yeah.
I every time I open my refrigerator, there's Chalk Zero right there. I have not touched it this week. There's
Great.
some on my counter. I have not touched it. And I'm like, I am so proud of myself
Yeah. So
because it was like, oh, darn. That stuff is so good.
right now
Next
we
week,
yeah.
next week, I'm doing a week of keto chow.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
Yes.
creamies, yeah.
Creamies, shakes, and waffles.
So we we really don't do the shakes for keto chow that much. We'll
Mhm.
do Rachel um, showed us this had this one video where she made butter bites, and that's
Mhm.
like our favorite thing to do. We'll take 2 sticks of butter, melt it in the microwave, and put in a package of keto chow. You know, blend it up and dump them into the our little mold tray, and it makes about 12 of the butter bites, and we'll have like 1 or 2 of those for something sweet.
Do you use salted or unsalted butter?
We use unsalted because when you use salted butter, wow, those things will
I'm sure
light you
with
up.
keto chow.
Yeah, and
Now,
then
2 sticks of butter and 1 serving of keto chow.
yep,
I have never heard that before.
yep,
And that's
and
it.
that's it.
That's it.
Yep, you melt.
Holy, I'm going to have to try that now,
Oh yeah, it's
especially since it's the
fantastic.
week of keto chow. That
Right?
that fits right in.
Yeah, and I mean, our I can't decide what my favorite one is. I love the apple pie. I love the lemon meringue. Love the orange cream. And those are our 3 big bags that we have. But the chocolate mint, the strawberry, all of them are fantastic that way. They are great.
Now,
And
believe me, if there's anything I don't like, Brian likes it. Like, I have so much keto chow in my house because when the flavors come out, I have a ton of peppermint in there. Nobody can get it because it's not out yet.
right,
I have a ton of it, but it's like I've also given away a lot of keto chow. When I first started going to meetups, I would get like 4 or 5 gift bags and put keto chow, and we gave some pens away that my husband made. We gave some jewelry away that I made. in these bags. And I'm like, we can't keep doing this. We
Yeah.
can't keep giving things away like that. And then I just had a giveaway on my channel for hitting the 3,000 watch hours, which have gone down because YouTube
Yeah.
is frustrating.
But
My willpower is amazing. Not always, Debbie. I
yeah.
just made 3 keto chow for tomorrow. Hello, Nan. We are about to end this, Nan. You're going to have to watch this from the beginning because Sean has a fantastic story that he told. There's too many to have one absolute favorite. You are so right, Michelle. But chocolate, chocolate is my favorite.
Yeah.
Chocolate malt. Chocolate
We
malt. If it was a little more chocolatey, it would be perfect. But chocolate malt is
yeah.
up there for me.
Yeah, we tried the keto chow core just to see if it would react with us differently, and it just tasted a little bit different. We don't.
But the different sweetener that's in it, yeah,
Yeah,
because I
and
have it, and
made creamies with it, and creamy wasn't quite as good as the regular. So
see, when I make keto chow, I put collagen in all of them, whether it's a
oh,
shake or an ice cream. I put a scoop of. I have perfect keto collagens. I put a scoop of collagen in all of them,
oh yeah,
and phew, it's so good. The now like the chocolate malt, I'll put vanilla collagen in it because the chocolate will overdo the malt flavor, and that's what's so good about the chocolate malt flavor.
so do you use a Quip or do you use like perfect keto collagen?
Perfect keto.
Yeah, okay,
I have a ton of that. I have equipped flavors
right,
for added protein, and I don't know if that would work. I mean, it works. I've had a shake before, like Neely has made it
right.
with a scoop of Equip, a keto chow, butter, melted butter for the fat, and water. And oh my word, is that good? And you got like 50 some grams of protein in there because a scoop of each or a serving of each of the Equip and the keto chow, that's some serious protein going on.
Yeah,
But I made the chocolate core. They did at Hack Your Health, which is now, or a KetoCon, which is now Hack Your Health. The first year we went to KetoCon, they were making this chocolate core with Wagyu beef tallow, and it tasted like chocolate donut icing.
oh wow,
Well, I made a shake of that using the beef tallow. And the next day, I could not stay out of the bathroom. It was bad. I said, I
oh
can't do that anymore. I
yeah,
can't. Thank you, Nan.
Jeez.
Chocolate mint is awesome. I like
Yeah,
it. Never tried the peppermint.
yeah,
Lisa, if you like peppermint, it's so good.
yeah.
Debbie said, gotta try the butterscotch with the butter.
I
It's
yeah,
very good.
I love the peppermint because it reminds me of peppermint bark. That was one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you this: the Chalk Zero has had a peppermint. So it's chocolate covered, and they taste absolutely like the Andes mints.
right.
That's like, oh,
Yeah,
they're so good. Yes, you would like it. He's saying hello. All right. We've been on here almost 2 hours,
yeah,
and it has been absolutely rewarding and fantastic to meet you, to hear your story, meeting Michelle backstage, everything. I want to thank you so, so much.
I can't wait
And
until October when I can give you a hug in person.
well, thank you. I know your support on my YouTube and my Facebook page, everything. Thank you so much. Everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. This has been fantastic. And everyone, have a great night And Brian and I, with Dustin, will see you on Wednesday. Dustin is going to join us. Thank you, Michelle. And then next Friday, I have Caitlin on, and she has an amazing story also. I saw her on Dustin's channel probably 2 months ago now.
Yeah, about 2 months ago.
And there you go. Here's your son.
Thanks, Austin.
That's awesome. Thank you, Cindy and Sean. Great live. Thank you, Susie. Again, thanks everyone for joining us. Hang on for a minute, Sean.
Sure.
And don't be crying. And everybody have a great night. And we will see you. I will see you on Wednesday.
Thank you.